Hey everyone, it's Carol Williams with Williams Immigration. I'm a lawyer, an immigration lawyer, and a former USCIS Adjudications Officer. I own a boutique immigration law firm here in the US where we work with clients in all 50 states as well as internationally. I work with business owners and entrepreneurs that are hiring people that are not US citizens. So my role is to make sure that those new hires, those new employees, those new team members have the right work authorization so that there's no problems with the federal government. I also handle all of the compliance work internally for the company. I also work with families that are looking to sponsor their other family members for green cards. Usually in my practice, that looks like a US citizen or a current green card holder, and they are sponsoring their fiance, their spouse, their parent, or their minor child. Remember, minor children in the US immigration world are under 21 and unmarried. So if you are 20 but you are married, then you are no longer a minor or a dependent in the immigration world, in the US immigration world. I am a lawyer, a US licensed lawyer, but I want to make it clear that I am not your specific lawyer on your specific case. So if you want to work with my firm, you want to work with me directly, the best way to do that is to start with a consultation, and then we can talk about your individual case, your individual facts. And then you start working with us and you get very individualized attention. Everything that we do on lives, or if you send me a message via DM, that is just for educational purposes. I don't give out any legal advice that pertains to your specific case on lives. Okay. So y'all know I like to do a little bit of education first and then answer your questions. So today I wanted to talk about what happens, or really talk about a call that I've had earlier today. I think it's helpful for y'all because I think some of you are probably in that situation. And as I'm talking, if you have questions or if you have specific questions, feel free to pop those in the chat. Y'all know the length of time I spend online with y'all each night depends on how many questions you have. So totally up to you. But I want to talk about what happens when someone calls me and they say, hey, I'm a US citizen. I want to sponsor my, let's say my spouse in this case, but my spouse is here and they're without status. One of the first questions I'm going to ask you is, how did your spouse enter the US? Did they enter the US by crossing the border without being inspected, without talking to anybody at immigration? Did they fly in? Did they have a visa? Did they at one point have status and they overstayed that status? If you have overstayed your status, let's say you came in as a visitor or you came in as a student, or even if, you may have come in on a work visa, but you entered the US lawfully, you were admitted and you were inspected, meaning somebody had a conversation with you at the border, whether that border is a land border, Canada or Mexico, whether you came in on a flight through one of the airports, you had a conversation with somebody from immigration. If they then stamped your passport, they issued you an I-94 card and said, welcome, you can stay until X date. If your spouse entered lawfully, but then for whatever reason they wound up overstaying and they stayed more time than they should have, the time that they have spent out of status is forgiven by the government. The government wants to keep families together. So if you are a US citizen, this only works for US citizens. If you're a US citizen and your spouse entered lawfully, but they are currently here without status, they're undocumented now, but they entered lawfully, and you have documentation, you have proof that they entered lawfully. So you've got the old I-94 card, you've got, the I-94 card that was pulled off, offline, or you've got the stamp in the passport. This is why I always talk about documents are so important. Okay. We can file that application for you and your time out of status is completely forgiven. it doesn't even come up in the interviews. Now, what will come up in the interview is if you lie. If you don't list all of the jobs that you've had while you were out of status, if you lie about the day that you entered the US, if the lie is oftentimes bigger than what you are lying about. So I always tell people, here's what the law says. I have never once had a client who had a US citizen client who was sponsoring their family member entered lawfully. They had no other issues in their file. I've never once during one of those interviews had the officer even ask about their time out of status, because legally it's completely forgiven. What will get asked about are jobs that have not been listed in the application, because people think, oh, it's better to try to hide something. Don't try to hide something. And I will say this, the second you feel like you need to try to hide something is the second you need to get an attorney involved and figure out what your options are and the best way to handle those options. But if you are a US citizen and your spouse entered lawfully and has no other issues in their background, their time out of status is completely forgiven. It is a complete and utter non-issue in my interviews, in my experience. So keep that in mind. So that's really what I wanted to tell y'all about today. I get a lot of those questions because people aren't quite sure. They're on the internet, they're reading things, they're Googling, which I'm an advocate of. I Google, y'all. I Google. So I just want to let y'all know that. And I see some questions flowing in. So let's see what we have. Somebody wants to know if I'm hiring. If you, I do actually have an open spot in my firm right now. So if you DM me, I can let you know if you would be a good fit for what I am looking for. But I am definitely looking to fill one more spot in the firm at the moment. Let's see, what do we got here? How long does it take for writ of mandamus to how long will it take for a writ of mandamus to present it before a judge? That's a really good question. I don't know. It depends on which jurisdiction you're in. So I don't know which jurisdiction you're in, but I don't know. And just so y'all are aware, I am perfectly happy telling you I don't know something. I am perfectly happy telling you that is not in my wheelhouse. That's not the type of immigration law I handle, because I want you all to get some really good information from these lives. And if we need to send you to another attorney to get your questions like really answered and get you a consult with another attorney, we can absolutely do that. I am comfortable telling y'all I don't know some stuff. If my 751 is still pending after interview, and now I got a citizenship interview, is that a good sign? So what some people will do is when they're 751, which is removing the conditions. Removing the conditions is when you are married for less than 2 years, when your marriage-based green card is approved. You get conditional permanent residence, and you need to file a 751 towards the end of that 2 years to remove the conditions so that you get a 10-year green card. That's the 751 piece of that question. So you become out, your clock that you start counting down when you become eligible for citizenship starts when your conditional permanent residence is approved. So some people will push the immigration service, and while they file their 751, they will then also file their NATS application as soon as they are eligible. Sometimes you get your naturalization interview notice first. Sometimes you get your 751 interview notice first. Here's what you need to know. It is not necessarily a good sign or a bad sign that you got your citizenship interview notice first. The order of operations will always be that your 751 is processed before your naturalization application. Now, the officer can choose, if they see that there's an open 751, they can choose to handle the 751 interview and the naturalization interview at the same time. They don't have to, but they can certainly make that choice. So if your 751 file is in the office and available to them, when they may have just thought they were just going to be doing a NATS interview that morning or that afternoon, that is completely up to them. It's a good sign that you have an interview, but it's not necessarily a good sign that you got your NATS interview before your 751 interview. That could just be a paperwork situation. But, they can certainly handle them together if they choose, but they will always adjudicate and process the 751 in the system before the naturalization, but they can certainly do it in the same sitting, in the same office setting. So good luck in your interview. Come back and let us know what happens. So good luck on that. Let's see. What else? Hello, Ms. Miller. It's good to see you too. Thanks for joining again. Visa U work permit, how long is it taking? I don't do any U visas in my practice, so I don't know. But in terms of processing times in general, processing times are fluid. They slow up, they speed down. Whenever my clients ask me about processing times, I look them up right then and there. If we're not giving them an affirmative look at what their processing times are. So processing times depend on the office that is processing the application and the type of application. So an office in California might be processing a little bit slower than an office in Iowa. An office in Iowa might be processing a little quicker than an office in Wisconsin. Honestly, y'all, it just depends. So you can find basic processing times on the USCIS website though. And they are updated on the USCIS website. So those are absolutely available to you. So I always encourage people to look there as well. Can I travel to other states in the US with my visa that has recently been overstayed? Can I travel to other states in the US with my visa that has recently been overstayed? So kind of depends on how you're traveling. In general, so let me tell you the purpose of the visa first, so you all kind of understand this. The visa is what they stamp in your passport. When you are overseas, you're at a consulate, they put this big old thing in your passport, takes up a whole page. That's your visa. The visa only allows you to get on a plane or get on a ship or get in your car if necessary, and come to the border. So come to either the northern or southern border, come to the airport and say, hey, I have this visa. I would like to come into the United States. That's all. That's really where the purpose of the visa ends. The second you are standing in front of that officer or let's say for sake of argument in the airport, that's where the purpose of the visa ends. The visa does not determine how long you can stay in the U.S. The officer stamps your passport and says, okay, you can stay for 6 months. Then what they do behind the scenes is they're punching in their keyboard or whatever. And then that generates what we call an I-94 document. It used to be a white card that was a physical white kind of paper card, put in your passport and they'd send you on your way with it. Now that process is electronic and has been for quite some time. And you can go to the web, you can go to the internet and pull down your own I-94 card. It is that I-94 card and that stamp in your passport that tells the government how long you can stay. So your visa doesn't really determine whether or not you can move from state to state. You're in the States, you can move from state to state. If your mode of travel is air travel, while no one is actively really looking for whether or not you have overstayed because you're traveling domestically, that can always happen. Somebody can always look in your passport and recognize that maybe you have overstayed or maybe there's an issue and maybe, then they start having a conversation with you. But your visa doesn't really determine if you can, when, your visa doesn't determine whether or not you can travel from state to state. It just determines whether or not you can physically really like get on a plane, whether or not the airline is going to let you on a plane and come to the States. But if you are traveling state to state and you have overstayed, you run the risk of coming into contact with law enforcement. If you come into contact with law enforcement, they could then put you in contact with immigration. So that is something that you should be aware of. That unfortunately is always going to be a risk. So I hope that was helpful. Adjustment of status went from 5 months to taking longer than expected. Filed on April 2023. Sure, yes, that can absolutely happen. Is that normal? So I think what you're saying is maybe the visa bulletin moved. And that is yes. Processing times are fluid, y'all. Processing times are fluid. Processing times change month to month when we are talking about adjustment of status. The visa bulletin tells us which applications are being adjudicated, which applications are going to be taken off the shelf, put on an adjudicator's desk to be processed. It's given to us via date ranges. If you are an immediate relative and you are not subject to the visa bulletin, if you're a family-based case, again, processing times are fluid. They're absolutely fluid. It ebbs and flows with workload and staffing and everything else you can think of. So yes, is it frustrating? Absolutely. Is it normal? Absolutely. So yes, it's completely normal that it may have gone from 5 months to longer. My friend came on an IR2 visa on her 18th birthday. What is her status? I need to see documents. That is a consultation question. Your friend would have to click the link in the bio. You can certainly send them the link in the bio. They can set up a consultation, and then we can figure that out. So we can do that. But in general, an IR2 is a green card. My firm works with folks all over the country. We are virtual. So we can work with folks that are all over the place. I got my social security number today. Congratulations. It's a marriage-based application. No any EAD approval notice. Is it normal? I don't understand your question. Marriage-based application. I don't understand your question. Can you rephrase that for me? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. No EAD approval notice. Is it normal? Yeah, I don't understand your question. If you can rephrase that for me, that would be super helpful. What does it mean that my car is taking longer than expected? What do you mean your car is taking longer than expected? Your card, your CARD? Case. There we go. Case. I was close. Okay, so what kind of case? Where is it? Like that's a consultation question. That I don't even know what kind of case you're talking about. So, and when you say it's taking longer than expected, based on what? Based on you just want it done, or based on, what you saw in terms of the CIS processing times online, based on consular processing times? Like there's a lot missing there that I don't know. So I would say schedule consultation. We can parse through what's happening. And then I can probably give you some really, really good, very targeted, specific info just for you. So click the link in the bio, get yourself a consultation, and then we can kind of figure that out. How long is adjustment of status taking in NYC? You are one of the lucky ones. I just looked this up on a phone call right before I hopped on. Adjustment of status in at least one of the New York offices that I just looked up is taking about 23 months. That is literally one of the only things I know in terms of processing times off the top of my head right now. And I believe that was out of the Brooklyn local office. But again, processing times, y'all, ebb and flow. They are flexible. DQ date in March. Category, I'm on a green card. How long is it going to take my wife to be here? I have no idea. I have to look up processing times each and every single time somebody asks me. Processing times are, except for that one in New York, because I literally just looked it up less than 30 minutes ago. Processing times are dependent upon what your category is, what office has your application, when you filed it, what's the priority date, where are you in the mix? So that is a consultation question. That's a consultation question. I get that question all the time. How long is it going to be until I'm with my loved one? The wait time when y'all are separated is horrible. It is horrible and it's hard and it's frustrating. But unless I sit here and look up processing times all day for people, the answer is always going to be, I don't know. Again, except for that one very narrow New York question, which I just looked up. Let's see here. Oh, wow. That's a long time. I think that's to the New York. Yes, it is. I'm telling y'all, it's the dealing with U.S. immigration. It's not a short process. I did a presentation to some business owners probably about 2 weeks ago now. And one of the things we talked about was that working with me and my firm and working with immigration and all the different government agencies that touch immigration, from Department of Labor, the consulates are all under the Department of State, USCIS. It's not a quick process, y'all. It is never, you're in and you're out with a green card in 2 weeks or 6 months. That just doesn't happen. So I was telling these business owners, we were talking about what does it look like when you are hiring someone that's not a U.S. citizen? What does that life cycle look like? And they were very surprised at the length of time it could take. Now, I will say, for employment-based cases, when you're hiring somebody, or you're the employee, the Immigration Service does allow for some things to be expedited. If you pay an extra fee, it's called premium processing. Sometimes for certain applications, you can get notice from them in 15 calendar days. Others, it's 30 calendar days. And I think in another set, it's 45 calendar days. And that knocks off a lot of time for sure. We just don't have that sort of automatic expedite request availability on the family side yet. I say yet, hopefully we'll get it, but we don't have that. So if when we're talking about family-based green cards, you're sponsoring your spouse, buckle up, because it is a wait, y'all. It is not a quick wham bam thank you ma'am process. So the separation is long sometimes, and it's hard. It's hard. I talk to my clients about it. It's hard. I talk about that from the very beginning. So, question, do I get an EAD approval notice before I can get a Social Security? Generally, yes. Generally, yes. They're going to give you your employment authorization document. Then you're going to take, then you can take that with you to Social Security and apply for your Social Security card. That is if it's a family-based application. Let's say it's a marriage-based application, and that's probably going to be your first point of availability to get work authorization, and then from there you get your Social Security number. Now, for some of my clients that come to me, that I work with through their companies and their businesses or organizations, they've had a Social Security number long before we get to their green card applications. They get their Social Security when they get their work authorization, but they have, they have a work authorized visa when they come in. So, kind of depends on where you are in the process. But yes, if this is your first EAD, it's probably going to be your first opportunity to have gotten a Social Security social security number. So yeah, you will need that EAD on board. Hello, Manuel. Filing for a green card, they asked for your medical. Does that mean I won't have an interview? So what we are seeing is sometimes when they have only asked for a medical, it can be an indicator that they do not want to interview you, that your case was clean, your documents were good, and they are going to exercise discretion. And it is 110%, y'all, their discretion, whether or not they interview you. But what we are seeing sort of anecdotally is if they only ask for your medical, chances are they may not interview you. However, again, 110% discretionary on their part. So my clients, I always get them ready for an interview just in case. And great news if they don't get an interview and instead they get an approval notice and a green card in the mail. So that's what it could mean, or it could just mean that's all they need before they call you in for an interview. But I would always get yourself prepared for an interview. But if you don't get an interview, great. Can a caregiver get permanent residence for taking care of a citizen client? In general, yes. In general, that is an EB-3, employment-based application. So, certainly you just have to go through the process. You just have to go through the EB-3 process, which is working through Department of Labor for the PERM application, then working through USCIS for the I-140, and then working through USCIS again, either through consular processing or doing the adjustment of status in the US. But yeah, you can certainly do that. They can also potentially work through a staffing company. So there are a few ways to do that. Let me see here. 7 months. On the USCIS page, my case says 7 months. Is that accurate? I would have to tell you I don't know, right? Like I don't control what's on the USCIS page. USCIS uploads processing times. If that's what they have uploaded, if they have uploaded 7 months, then 7 months it is. What I am able to tell my clients when they work with me, I was just on a call right before I hopped on, and I was looking at the processing times, and the processing times were, of course, longer than I wanted, longer than this individual wanted. But I also noticed the processing times combined all of the local offices across the country. Well, while I understand why USCIS would do that, that's not helpful, right? Like that's not helpful for me when I'm talking with somebody. To give them processing times, that's sort of aggregated across the country. So I'm able to say, of the cases that I have like this, mine are currently taking this amount of time coming through that office. Is that a guarantee? Absolutely not that your case will be, around that same time. It's a ballpark. So if what CIS is saying on their website is 7 months, 12 months, 24 months, it is a ballpark, but it is a good way to set your expectations with how long this process is going to take. There is nothing fast about immigration, y'all. Nothing. I wish there were, but it's not. And that's one of the reasons I tell people, when you are looking to work with me and work with an attorney, do a consultation. The consultation is your best way. It's your opportunity to get to know us, to have a conversation with us about your specific facts. I just finished up working with a client. We've been working together for years. We started working together before they got married. And then we did their marriage application. They got conditional permanent residence. We removed the conditions on the permanent residence. That got approved. Then we just got them citizenship. I have been working with this couple for years. Love them. They are amazing. And so that's the kind of length of time that we are talking about. I have worked with other couples where I have seen marriages. I have seen graduations. I have seen divorces. I have seen the birth of children. This process all takes time. It all takes time. So I tell my clients, I was like, you're stuck with me for quite some time, which is good because I really like my clients. I really like working with you guys. Okay. But today I got my social security number today without an EID approval, so I'm confused. Book a consultation so that we can have a conversation about this. Schedule a consultation. Okay. You may have asked for a social security number and part of the paperwork that you filled out and just not realized you were doing it. Book a consultation and we can figure this out. We can sort of work through your confusion. If you come with a K-1 visa, can you work while waiting for your green card? If you have employment authorization, yes, you can. So you need to apply for work authorization. Folks that come over on a K-1 fiance visa, you get married within 90 days. You then you file for your adjustment of status. For my clients, we file adjustment of status, work authorization, and travel permission so that they can work and so that they can travel. Manuel, you are quite welcome. Religious exemption, COVID vaccine waiver for immigration. Will the adjustment case get denied? I don't actually understand your question. Are you saying that you did not get vaccinated? I'm a little confused on your question. Are you asking if you're eligible for a vaccination or eligible for a religious exemption? Exemptions do exist for sure. So it depends. I don't know. You've got to schedule a consultation so we can kind of dig into what you're asking. Why can't I access my travel history on my I-94? Only seeing one travel history from the first travel. Assuming you are doing it correctly, which I'm not saying that you're not. I do not know. I'm not sitting next to you. Sometimes that travel information is not fully updated. If you have a green card, that information, your travel history is no longer available on the I-94 website. Time is a little crazy, but I think they made that change, I want to say a couple months ago, which probably means it was longer. But yeah, that's a relatively new change. So if you are, if you're a green card holder, all of your travel is not going to be there. I use that travel history option all the time for my clients that are here and they are working with, companies and they're doing a lot of travel. We use that to make sure that their travel record is up to date and accurate. Any idea how far behind Islamabad embassy is for the I-130 interview? I wish I could tell you. I have no idea. I have no idea whatsoever. Tons of consulates, tons of embassies, quite literally, unless I have reached out to them within like 30 minutes of my hopping on live, I have no idea. Now, if it's something, certainly if it's something that we can help you with, click the link in the bio, schedule a consultation. We can certainly help you. Sandra, how can I contact you? Easiest way to contact me, y'all. Great question. Easiest way to contact me is to click the link in the bio. If you want to talk about your case, your circumstance, you can schedule a consultation. You can also send an email to us at info@clwimmigration.com. You all are welcome to call the office, 954-903-1337. You can also send a DM and someone on my team covers those and will reach out to you. You can reach us in all of those ways. You can reach us through our website, which is clwimmigration.com. I'm applying for a religious exemption from COVID vaccination for my dependent. Will it affect the case? It's a part of your case. So it will be, your entire case will be looked at and processed in addition to the religious exemption. So it's not necessarily a negative on your case. They will look at the religious exemption. They will, tell you whether or not they're going to exempt you from that, and then it's up to you whether or not you want to continue with the case or not. Can you work after your refugee entry document expires before readjusting status? I absolutely have no idea. I don't do any refugee or asylum work, so I do not know. I do not know. Y'all, I am so super comfortable with telling y'all I don't know. There are lots of things I do know, but lots of things I also don't know. So that is one of the things I do not know. When getting paroled, hey, Carlos. When getting paroled into the U.S. with advanced parole, can CBP deny me if I went to another country not listed? I'm not quite sure what you mean by I went to another country not listed. But advanced parole, or a visa for that matter, does not guarantee you entry into the United States. The visa, the thing that they slap into your passport, and the advanced parole, which looks like a credit card, or that credit card size, those documents allow you to get on a plane. Those documents allow, or help, I should say, we're going to assume that you're flying in. They help airline staff know that you have been authorized to travel to the U.S. Okay? The person that determines whether or not you get into the country, if you're in the airport, is the CBP officer. That's who determines whether you get in. They look at your document and they say, oh, okay, great. Someone approved your advanced parole. Wonderful. Then they go through their list, which if you've traveled through the airport, it's a quick interaction. They take your passport, they run it through, but they're looking at things on their screen. If they can go through and do a mental check, and they send you on your way, great. If they go through and they're like, check, oh, wait a minute. Check, that whole, oh, wait a minute moment may mean that they don't let you in. Advanced parole does not guarantee you entry. So while I'm not sure what you mean when you say, if I went to another country not listed, advanced parole doesn't guarantee you entry. And there are some cases where I recommend that people don't travel on their advanced parole, even though we may get them one. Sometimes I recommend they don't travel on it, right? So you can certainly have the document in your possession, but it may not always be in your best interest to use it. So just keep that in mind. That is where having an attorney on your side, looking at your case, chatting with you regularly really helps you. The website, when I try to access my travel history, what did I do with the scrolling situation? The website is requesting a FOIA number when I try to access travel history on the I-94 website. I don't know that you're on the right website if it is requesting a FOIA number. I'm not sure that you're on the right website. Let me do this. Hold on one second. I usually don't Google while I'm online with y'all, but I will. So the I-94 website, hopefully you are still here, you will write this down, is i94.cbp.dhs.gov /i94 /home. So i94.cbp.dhs.gov /i94 /home. That is the website where you can go to pull your most recent I-94 and to view your travel history. You should not be asked for a FOIA number. My team pulls I-94s all day. We do not need a FOIA number. You said I used to be able to see it before my visa date passed, even though I'm currently in my grace period. You need a consultation. You need a consultation. You've got a lot going on there. So you should click the link, my bio, schedule consultation. We can probably knock this out with a quickie conversation. I applied for advanced parole to go, I'm assuming MX, maybe Mexico. It's going to be an assumption on my part. I applied for advanced parole to go to Mexico for dental, but can I, as a Mexican citizen, go to another country? I'm not sure I understand your question. Oh, maybe. Hold on. So are you saying that when you applied for your advanced parole, you specifically wrote in the form, in the application, I want to go to Mexico for dental work. Can I go to another country? Advanced parole is you can go wherever you want to go with your advanced parole. If there is a reason this is concerning you, I would say book a consultation and we can certainly talk about it. But advanced parole does not, in general, advanced parole does not limit you to go to specific places. So think about that. If you want to talk about that a little bit more in depth for your very specific scenario, book a consultation. We can talk about that. Jay Rand, how are you? I'm in law school. That is wonderful. Congratulations. And I want to get into immigration. Any tips? Jay, I would say, I'm not sure where you are in law school. If your law school has an immigration class, if they have an immigration clinic, I would say for sure take all the immigration classes you can. All of the, if there's an immigration clinic, I would say take that as well. There is, depending on the type of immigration law that you think you want to practice, there is an overlay between my business immigration clients and their businesses. So I would say take corporations. My tax professor would be shocked, but I would also say, take tax. If you think you want to do more on the humanitarian side, what people consider the more humanitarian side of immigration, I would say you want to know the intersection between immigration and the criminal laws. So I would say, definitely take an upper level criminal law class. If you're interested in working with corporations, I loved my international trade class. All those things kind of mix into my practice. I get a little bit of corporations in my practice, a little bit of tax, things I can draw from. I draw from some of those classes back in law school. I've been practicing for over 20 years, but I do, some of those things draw back. But I think the best class I took was my immigration clinic. Best class in law school. So good luck. If you want to talk about that a little bit more offline, we can certainly do that. Let's see here. Consultations are not free. My consultations are paid. If you click the link, you will get all the information about the consults that y'all need. And you can pay for the consultation online as you book it. That is truly the easiest way to get your consultation scheduled because you have 24-hour access to the open slots on my calendar. I do that for a reason so that there's not a whole lot, it's just very easy for people to get on my calendar to book their consultations. Let's see here. Been waiting a year and a half for the I-130. I'm a citizen. What can I do, or is there anything to do? It depends on who you are sponsoring. So if you are sponsoring an adult sibling, a year and a half does not surprise me because that puts you at the bottom of the preference category. If you are sponsoring an immediate relative, I would say 1.5 years is probably a little too long. Mine are taking just about 1 year. So 1.5 years seems a little bit long. I would say schedule a consultation. We can see that this is where having good documents come in, y'all. During this type of consultation, it would be helpful for me in order to help you to see exactly what you filed. I can look through and kind of pick out, oh, well, this might be an issue. This might be an issue, blah, blah, blah. Or this all looks pretty clean to me. I don't know why this is taking so long. So that's but 1.5 years seems like it's a bit long. I haven't checked the process. I haven't had to check the processing times in a minute, but seems like it might be a little bit long. If you haven't checked the processing times, check the processing times first. But if you're still concerned about them, definitely schedule a consultation and we can chat. If you have advanced parole, is it safe to travel? So advanced parole is not a guarantee that they are going to let you back into the country. I say that to every single one of my clients that gets advanced parole. 9 times out of 10, do people go back into the country with no issues? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it is absolutely not a guarantee that you'll be back into the country. Advanced parole is a mechanism to allow people to travel. But some people, based on their history, based on their individual private history, should not use advanced parole to travel. Okay. Because when you're coming back in, CBP is determining whether or not you get back in. So for cases that may have a criminal background to them, I generally recommend that those folks not use their advanced parole, depending on what their criminal background may be. So advanced parole is a mechanism for you to get back into the country. It is not a guarantee. So if you have a specific concern, then I would say get yourself on my calendar and we can talk about that. But I think it's very important. I know a lot of people think, oh, I have advanced parole. It's totally fine. I'm going to be automatically let back in. And some people have a very rude awakening in the airport. And let me tell you, being stopped in the airport is no fun. It is very, very stressful. And I know this because I've had people call me from the airport. It is a stressful time. And it is not the time to be asking these questions or to try to be figuring this stuff out. You want to have a reasonable expectation that that you won't have a problem getting back into the country and that you have all the right documents. You are saying, looks like your I-130 is for a spouse. That seems a little long for me. That seems a little long, but again, I haven't seen any documents. I don't know what was in the application. So I would say you can certainly book a consultation and we can see what's going on. Here's what I'm going to say, because you have said that you already have a lawyer and you feel like they're not helping you. The very first thing I'm going to say, out of deference to my immigration colleagues that are lawyers, is I'm always going to tell you, well, I am happy to chat with you, and I truly am. I will always recommend your first thing to do after we talk is to have an open and candid conversation with your current lawyer. I will always tell people that, because I would want another attorney to do the same for me. If after that open and candid conversation with your current lawyer, you feel like you still want to switch lawyers, that's fine. People can do that. But I will always recommend an open and candid conversation with your current lawyer first. But yes, you can absolutely book a consultation with me. I have no issues with that whatsoever. But if you are stressed out, you are worried, yes, you can absolutely book a consultation with me. Sometimes you do have to wait. Like we talked about this a little bit earlier on the live. I don't know if you were on that at that point, but the waiting sucks, y'all. The waiting sucks. That's my very legal term. It sucks. So, some of that is we just got to wait. Some of it could be maybe there are things that we could be doing to figure out why it's taking so long and try to push the system, to get us where we're trying to go. But, definitely click the link in the bio, schedule a consult. I'm more than happy to chat with you. We got someone over on YouTube. So let's see what's happening on YouTube, y'all, for a little bit. Hi, Twinkle Star. I love that screen name. My visa was canceled when I took my daughter to the embassy for her visa renewal. She was denied and my visa was canceled. They said they suspected me to be working. Okay. What is your question? In absence of a question mark, so I don't actually know what you're trying to get to. Yes, the immigration, the consulate will and can revoke, deny, cancel visas if they think that you have violated your status. That is something that they do. It is difficult to we don't really have the right to sort of appeal their decisions. So I can't go in and say, hey, I'd like you to relook at this, right? So that is unfortunate. If you were not working, if you did not violate your status, we can certainly talk about that during a consultation and see what may be the best route for you to go next. What may be your best next course of action. What can I do to get back? Seeing that statement was not true. Yeah, I would schedule a consultation. Click the link. We can talk about it. But getting your visas canceled, not renewed, denied, super frustrating and super sometimes really difficult to actually get in touch with the consulates, especially if this is a visitor visa. Visitor visas are tough. Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie about that. They are tough. So I would say click the link in the bio if you want to, see if there's anything that we can do. Sometimes the best course of action is to just wait. But again, I don't know your individual situation. I don't know, I don't know. So that's certainly something that I'm happy to chat with you about. My mother and husband have been waiting for an interview at NVC for 2 years now. I filed the I-130. 2 years seems a little excessive. I would say although part of that's COVID, so maybe not so excessive, but 2 years seems a little bit excessive. Although I don't know which consulate you are trying to get to. I don't know which consulate you are sort of working through. So 2 years might actually be kind of on par. But I would say book a consultation. We can certainly dig into it a little bit more. First thing I'm going to ask you during that consultation is which consulate are you trying to work with? That's going to be a lot of it. Certain consulates have a very, very heavy caseload. And so 2 years, unfortunately, because of the backlog, might just be where they are, frankly. So back over to YouTube, Twinkle Star. Okay, yeah, feel free to do that. Totally fine. And we'll talk about that. If a VAWA case has been received by USCIS over 1 year and 6 months, how long do I have to wait for I don't see the rest of that. How long do you have to wait? So I don't know what the rest of your question is, but I don't handle VAWA cases. So I was hoping to at least get the question out. I don't handle VAWA cases, so I don't know. Again, y'all, I'm perfectly happy telling y'all that, There are some pieces of immigration I don't handle at all. VAWA happens to be one of them. But I do have some very good colleagues who handle VAWA cases. So if you want a referral to some colleagues that handle VAWA cases, shoot me a message, and I'm more than happy to send you over some names. Yeah, I have no idea if VAWA is backed up. I think everything is kind of backed up right now, but I don't know about VAWA specifically. How long does a 290B take for adjudication? Are we talking a motion to reopen and reconsider that went back to the same office, or are we talking a 290B that went to the appeals office? Two very different answers. If you're going to the appellate unit, it's going to take more than a minute. It is absolutely going to take more than a minute. Those are taking a long time. What's SANE? I don't know. SANE office? What's it? City, state? Okay, so I'm going to assume that SANE is like a local office. Oh, same office. Okay, going back to the same office. Got it. I was like, same. I was like trying to think of the major cities. So going back to the same office will probably take about as long as it took you to get it out of that office before, quite honestly. It goes back to the same office because you are sending it back within 33 days. The office still has your file. So it should get back onto an officer's desk fairly quickly. I don't think it should be a matter of years for sure. I think it would be months, if anything, if that. But if it's going back to the same office within 33 days, they have your file. I just did one, so they have your file. It's there. So it's not a matter where they've got to request your file from somewhere else, but wait for it. Like they don't have all that. They have to go to a room, like a file room, and go get it. Let's see here. My husband was a green card holder when he filed my I-130, and now he is a citizen. What is the next step? You flip to being husband was a green card holder. You flip to being an immediate relative. They should, that speeds up your processing time tremendously because now you're not in a preference category. You are now considered an immediate relative. So congratulations, it speeds up your processing time. Filed VAWA in April 21, received a combo card for prima facie. How long for decision? I don't handle any VAWA, so I don't know. You said it's been 92 days since you sent back in your response to the 290B. Yeah, that sounds about right. That doesn't seem excessive to me. I know, y'all, I know. It is your life. You are waiting. This is super important to you. You are thinking about this every day. I know. 92 days seems incredibly excessive. In my world and where I sit, 92 days is not excessive. So I would love to tell you, bang my fist and say, oh, this is taking way too long. 92 days is not excessive. Back to the same local office. So hopefully you hear something soon. Let me see here. All right, y'all. I think check in YouTube. We are also live in the private Facebook group. So if you want to be part of that, you can also click the link there. And we can get you in there. I don't see any questions there. I don't see any questions on the Facebook page where we are also live. I don't see any more questions on TikTok. So I am going to sign off, y'all, and go get some dinner. But you all know that you can reach me. I am on the website is clwimmigration.com. You can reach me you can click the link in my bio. You can schedule your consultation directly from there. That has 24/7 direct access to open slots on my calendar. You can also pay for the consultation right there online. When you schedule, you can call the office at 954-903-1337. We work with clients all over the country, all 50 states. I work with clients that are international who are not in the, not in the US right now. I work with business owners, entrepreneurs, businesses, managers who have identified a candidate, someone that they want to hire. We get them a non-immigrant visa. We walk them and help them through sponsoring their employees for green cards. We also work with families when you have a family member that you are looking to get a green card for. We do all that. We do it virtually. I work with clients all over. If this has been helpful, you can share this out to your friends, your colleagues. If you have gotten a job offer and they don't have an attorney and you're looking for one, you can send this live to them. You can have them reach out to me. The best and easiest way, y'all, to start working with me is to click the link in the bio and schedule a consultation. All of my engagements begin with a consultation. It is my opportunity and your opportunity for us to have a conversation about your specific facts. Everything here during my lives is general and is not pertain to your entire fact scenario. I am an attorney, but I'm not your attorney. If you want me to be your attorney, where I know the facts of your individual cases, your individual circumstances, click the link in the bio, get yourself a consultation set up, and we can rock and roll from there. And I will, tomorrow's Wednesday. Y'all, I have to check my calendar real quick. I got a lot going on. Ooh, I have an event tomorrow night. So I don't know that I'll be live with y'all tomorrow, but I shall definitely see you again on Thursday. But I do have an event that I have to go to. I'm supporting a friend. She's another amazing, amazing, amazing attorney. She does real estate. She does trademark and some estate planning here in Florida. So if you're looking for those services, she's wonderful. I'm happy to pass her name along to you. But I do have an event tomorrow night where I'm supporting her and her efforts. So I will not be live tomorrow night, but I will be live again on Thursday night. So I will see you all Thursday evening because tomorrow I'm going to be celebrating a friend of mine and what she's doing and her accomplishments. So I will talk to y'all later. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye.